Hello ladies and gentlemen, PepperBelly here, bringing you guys a video of the Citizens of the Star. The Star Citizen, it's the sci-fi space simulation shooter game. But it's not really a shooter, it's kind of just a spacefaring, space flight simulator kind of thing. And this is Arena Commander. Doesn't look very different, obviously, because you're seeing the business class hangar, or the executive class hangar, I don't remember which. It's been a while, guys, it really has. I haven't really been paying attention to this game in quite some time. I was actually kind of taken by surprise. I know I'm late to the party on this, but I have been playing this for the last couple of days. Like about 2 days after it was released initially, and I've been playing around with it, and I've been having a lot of fun, and I have some things to say about it, and things to show, which you've probably already seen, because the internet's just filled with this damn game. So, first things first, in order to fly, you gotta put on this fancy doodle helmet thing here. Which, obviously, if you look down, okay, well, it just disappeared. It disappeared from my sight. I can go, it's really buggy right now, like, extremely buggy. If I go in, oh, look at that, the world is sideways right now. Everything's, like, tilted on its axis, because why the hell not, right? Like, this world is just, it's not in space. We're technically grounded on the planet somewhere, but, you know, whatever. Oh, and, oh, it disappeared again. I put it down, put it back on. There, you can see it, kind of. It's fading and then coming back and then fading and whatever. The helmet's on your head. Technically, you could see it in first person. For some reason, it's not really working right now. So let's go ahead and make our way to the ship and get into some arena combat, arena commander combat, start killing things and shooting stuff, flying around space. So here is the Hornet. Obviously, it's very well detailed as usual. I mean, the lights, they added lights to it so you could see in space. It's cool. If you want to go to an asteroid and turn on your lights, you could see stuff in grueling detail. Of course, the massive, like, look at these Gatling guns, man. This thing is like a little bit bigger than the A10 in real life, which is like, it looks bigger than the A10, roughly about the same size, but like, holy shit, man. This thing's gonna ruin your day if you got hit with that, especially in space, where you get jettisoned out into, like, you know, freaking vacuum. It sucks. Anyway, let's go ahead and climb inside this thing. Oh, look, my helmet's back. So you can see RSI at the bottom of the helmet. If you, oh, it disappeared again. Every time I try to show it, it's just like, no! People are not allowed to look at it. It's really buggy right now. Usually when I get into the cockpit, it should stabilize the game. Usually, not always. Once I actually load into an environment and then come back out of it. There it is, turning on the whole ship, grabbing the throttle, and everything's just great. So welcome to Arena Commander, where you have only two options as of right now. The Spectrum match, which is obviously not optional right now. I'm assuming this is going to come at a later point. This, right here, represents playing multiplayer, which is what I'm going to assume that actually means. And you got Drone Sim, which means you're going to be basically just fighting drones, kind of. Or AI, you know, if you want to think of them as actual pilots in the cockpit as well. You got two maps. You got Broken Moon, which is basically just a broken moon floating in space. Very bright, you know, the sun is cool, and obviously the star is not as, well, bad as this one, because this is a dying star, and you can see it's the stars. Think of the sun going supernova, but not really going supernova, because supernova is when it explodes. Think of it like it's just dying, it's fading, it's losing its overall power. I don't even know how to word this right now. I ain't no fucking cosmologist or whatever. Cosmologist? I used to be, back in my prime. I know the words, I just can't articulate them in my head right now. What a dying star really is. But who cares? We're just here to talk about spaceships and killing stuff. So, we will start off in Broken Moon in free flight. You have two options right now. There's, you know, you can see the little notches up here indicating which one you're selecting. There's Vandal Swarm and there's free flight. And obviously the other three should become available at some point in the future, which will be great. So it's a free flight just to show you the basics of everything. Well, welcome to space, ladies and gentlemen. This is the interior of the Hornet. You can look around by pressing tab if you're using the mouse and keyboard, or if you have an Xbox 360 controller, you can just move the right analog stick, which will allow you to actually aim your guns simultaneously while looking around the cockpit, which is really cool, considering there's no other way of doing that as of right now. It's kind of a shame. And then, of course, as you can see, the way I'm controlling it right now is via the IFCS, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm probably making a fool of myself because I have no idea what that I'm even talking about right now. But it's the interior computer systems that actually allow you to target and acquisition moving ships. And right now, it's like you manually, with your mouse, control it. You can see the little indicator pointing where my or indicating where my actual guns are pointing, where I'm looking. And if I move to the far of the screen, it rotates the ship, like you would expect. If you press Control F, it actually makes it so it's like traditional flying games where it's centered and you're controlling it like you normally would in games like Battlefield and PlanetSide and any other flight sim type game like Elite Dangerous, where everything just, you're directly actually pointing your ship in a direction of where your mouse moves. Where here it's kind of like free floating. Think of it kind of like, you know, Insurgency or Red Orchestra, where you're kind of like, you can move your gun around and shoot, but you have to move it to the size of the screen to actually get your screen to move. It's kind of like that, really. And then of course you got your miniguns, Gatling guns, which are crazy, and you're gonna shoot all over the place and point it everywhere, and it's really, really cool. Take a look at the outside cockpit. Here it is, which is in all its glory. You can see how well detailed this is. The thrusters initiating at specific directions to maneuver the ship around very accurately, I might say. I mean, everything looks great. You can see my guns are moving and pivoting as I actually adjust my mouse to turn, because it's a gimbaled. All the guns are gimbaled. They can lock onto targets and they can move and track, which is really cool. Of course, Control F and it'll just center, and I can just control it like this, where the guns don't move, which is kind of neat. I mean, it's really, really detailed. Excruciatingly detailed. I mean, you look at this and you just see it shooting, and it's like, the graphics, first of all, if you guys, this is like a given. This game just looks phenomenal. It's one of the most incredible looking space games I've ever seen. It's just so damn detailed in comparison to most games out there. I mean, this just looks insane. So pretty. I mean, look at that. You can see the friggin' shell casings of the actual gun ejecting out the side. Like, I mean, look at that. You can see them on the right side just floating up through space, because it's space. There is no, like, it's zero G, man. They just float, which looks really cool and well detailed. All the attention to detail is what really sells this game and sets it apart from most. So, of course, you got your basic flight control. So this is kind of how it works. When W moves forward, S obviously slows it down. It increases in a type of sequential order where you're using a throttle. So think of PlanetSide 2, kind of, where you're basically increasing your throttle, and you can actually see it on the left side of your screen right here. Throttle's at 100%, throttle is at now 40%, and you can just, you know, play with it like that. Or if you want, you can look in the bottom cockpit right here, and you can actually see it right there. It's at 0 right now. And you can increase it, it goes up. You have your boost indicators there as well. And over here you got your thrust indicators, which is really cool. And here you got your radar, and the radar is really finicky and probably the shittiest thing in this game right now, because it's really hard to tell where the hell things are when looking at that radar. When you're using the Oculus Rift, I've heard good things, because you can actually see it in 3D, essentially. You're seeing it like as if it was actually in front of you, like it would actually be in real life, which you can actually identify where the actual flying, saying actual a lot, where the actual, there it is again, with the flying vehicles, where all the other spaceships are in the universe and the galaxy around you, which is pretty cool. So of course, like I said earlier, you can choose 2 separate maps, and these 2 maps obviously just indicate what this game has to offer, because it's going to be an open world, open galaxy, open universe, if you want to really put it in that kind of specific terms, because it's not going to be just maps you're picking. You're going to be able to fly everywhere in space, which is going to be pretty freaking crazy awesome. So don't at all think that this game is going to be an arena type space sim, because that's absolutely not what's going to happen. It's like a single player story campaign kind of integrated into a multiplayer context within a vast universe, which can be explored, which is pretty freaking sweet. So yeah, this is the controls. Of course, you can go in a coupled mode and you can go in uncoupled. Uncoupled basically lets you strafe and go up and down vertically, and strafe horizontally, and fly backwards, which is really cool. However, it's very risky, because if you're already moving in a specific direction, you turn it on, you're not guaranteed to stop moving that direction. So if I'm going really fast this way, I'm going straight, and I hit on coupled mode, and I try to fly backwards, it's like I'm trying to fly backwards right now and I'm still going forward, because the momentum's carrying me that way. If I try to slow down by turning left, see, now I can go backwards, because uncoupled kind of just like you're free floating in space pretty much. Like, if you're completely stationary and turn it on, you know, you're good to go. You can actually move in different directions and control your flight. If you're already in the process of moving, like I was about to slam into that thing, into the asteroid. But if you are using coupled mode while moving, it's basically like turning it on and you can just kind of float and you're just traveling in that same direction while you can actually maneuver your ship around and engage targets. It's kind of like you're just free floating through space, essentially, with the addition of being able to go vertical and sideways. Not by much, but enough to give you some mobility, which is kind of cool. So, how do the controls feel? Well, they feel pretty average, to be honest. They're not that good. I have a joystick, I have a mouse and keyboard, and I have an Xbox 360 controller. Each offers something that the other one doesn't. They have pros and cons to both. As it stands right now, I would say the mouse, probably the easiest to get into. But the joystick is a lot easier to actually control, to evade, and actually feel like you're really flying a spaceship or an aircraft, period. The bonus of the controller, I would say, is the fact that you can actually look around the cockpit like this while you're controlling your ship in flight. Because you can see if I'm turning like this, I turn it on, I'm just going to spin endlessly because I can't control my ship after that. You have to actually kind of set it straight and then turn it on and then look around and engage targets. Where with the actual controller, you can move the stick around, looking around where your guns are going to point at the same time. Think of like a Apache chopper, right? Your guns are pointing where your head's looking. And you'll be able to actually engage other ships like that. I'll demonstrate both right now, actually, the difference between the joystick, the mouse keyboard, and the 360 controller. Let's return to the hangar. Alrighty, so here we are flying in Vandal Swarm on dying stars. You can see the star is currently dying in that direction. Everything looks pretty, it's super bright, the waves are incoming, we got 2 wingmen with us. And we're gonna start engaging some actual vehicles. Some vehicular devices. Spaceships. Drones. Enemy AI, whatever you want to call them. So you can see, if you actually point directly in the center of that circle where you're locking onto them, you'll notice that it tracks automatically. These are called gimbaled weapons. Basically, they'll kind of lead the target for you. Get directly behind this guy. So you can see that moving around with the mouse and keyboard seems relatively easy, because I mean, you can just basically point and click. You almost feel like a turret in space. There's one of the downsides, really. You can see how easy this is. And there it is, it's blown up. So the controls do feel a little bit sluggish. They're not as responsive as people would like them to be. And it is being worked on. They have obviously voiced their opinion, like Chris Roberts touched on the subject, and then a few other people from the development team touched on the subject. They're obviously going to improve it. That wingman just killed himself. That's kind of funny. So you can see that's how the mouse and controls work, and I'm going to show you the Xbox 360 controller now. So this, obviously the controllers, every control integrates with each other, so I can actually use the mouse and keyboard whilst using the controller, whilst using the joystick. If I really want to do that, it works.
Scanning.
Locking on. So missiles, you just acquire them within 1,500 meters roughly. It's actually 1,400 meters to acquire a lock. And you can fire your missiles. So basically you just kind of like select the target for lock. As soon as it gets on, confirms the lock, you fire a missile, and then that happens where they die instantly, and it's really satisfying. So this is what I was referring to about the actual controller. The fact that I'm able to look around the cockpit while flying gives a whole other feeling to the game, allowing you to actually be able to get a lot more visibility. You're able to see around your ship easier. But of course, flying it isn't exactly the easiest thing ever, because you're kind of... You have to hold the control really awkwardly to be able to actually press and fire every weapon you have on your ship while looking around. I mean, it's like X on the 360 controller to fire your guns, and you have to like look around with your thumbsticks. And it's also like the right trigger to fire your main weapons. But it makes it way easier to track And overall, I would say this is probably the better way of playing it. Just because it's really easy to like acquire targets and shoot. And be able to get like full visibility while able to, you know, fly your ship and control it. Be able to look around the cockpit. So for Wave 3, I'm going to show you guys the joystick controls. I'm using a Logitech 3D Pro in combination with my controller, or my keyboard, so it kind of acts like a hands-on throttle and stick type deal.
Scanning.
So I use my WASD keys and everything, and oh shit. Where's my... oh, damn it.
50%. Warning. Forward shields. 25%.
I didn't take as much damage as I thought I was. I completely forgot what button was my flares.
Shields. Charging.
So I'll lock onto this guy who's like the little king. FanDuel Prime.
Charging. Collision.
That actually completely missed him. That is a shame. Let's try that again.
Lock.
Is that gonna kill him? I don't know. It just seems to be completely missing him every single time. What is this? The controls are kind of... it's really easy to over... whoa, my god. Really easy to overshoot targets. Because everything... think of it like everything has a delay and my main guns are offline. That sucks. But everything has a delay. So it's like your thrusters obviously have to accept the inputs, and then... the thrusters have to... and obviously there's going to be a delay in that, which is to be expected, but... not so much as it is right now that it makes it kind of hard and sluggish to fly. Precision is just not there at all. You have to be really delicate on the controls just to get those shots lined up the way you want.
Charging. Forward shields. 75%. Warning. Forward shields. 25%. Alert. Aft shields down.
Trying to get this guy. He's actually being a pain in the ass while I'm getting shot at from behind. I'm just trying to ignore him and see if I can actually pick this guy off. Kind of sucks that my main guns are offline. It makes it kind of harder to tear through the shields.
Starboard shields. 75%. Warning. Starboard shields. 25%. Shields.
There it is.
Charging. Target
So you can actually
destroyed.
toggle between your screens here on the left side of your HUD. You got your overview, you got your weapons tab, which you can see my main guns offline right now, and I got 625 rounds each
50%.
in my main guns, or my Gatling guns. Here you got your power overview, so you can see what weapons are being supplied with power, what part of your ships have power, and your shielding, so you can see how much shielding you have in each direction. Firing your main guns would actually lower your shield capacity in some areas. Getting hit obviously lowers your shield capacity as well.
Aft shields. 25%. Alert. Port shields. Down. Collision. Shields. Charging.
And Wingman's doing like nothing right now. He's just kind of like, yeah, I'll just fly around in my own area. Oh, there's, now he's shooting at him.
Aft shields. 50%. Alert. Aft shields. Down. Shield 9. Charging.
There we go.
Target destroyed. Alert. Aft shields. Down. Scanning.
Considering I'm damaged every time I boost, it like knocks around my ship. Which is really cool.
Target destroyed.
And he's been eliminated. So, as you can see, my ship's heavily damaged right now. What can I possibly do in this environment? I can eject. Punch out. Aw yeah, float in space and respawn in a fresh ship. There's obviously really no point to ejecting right now. It's kind of just there for the purposes of not counting as a death, giving you a fresh ship, like so, with fresh ammo capacity and everything.
All systems online.
And it also is just fun and cool as hell to do.
Scanning. Lock. Destroyed. Scanning. Lock. Destroyed. Scanning. Collision. Scanning.
So as you can see, the game just plays pretty damn well. It's a really epic game. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing this change and adapt over time and going through its development phases and just becoming better. Hopefully they'll adjust and tweak the flight controls to feel a little bit better, because I can do with some improvement. I mean, this game is just really, really cool so far, and I can't wait to see it when it's completed, being able to actually traverse the universe in an open environment. Be pretty damn cool. My name is PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today on the Star Citizen Arena Commander Showcase, taking a peek at the game, and I'll see you guys next time.
Stand by.